I still remember the day Dad painted the mailbox blue. It was the summer I turned 11, the year Grandma died and left me her savings with one clear wish. Use this for university, Emma. Not for anything else. I couldn't give your mom much, but I want to give you this. They opened that savings account in my name a week after her funeral. $62,000. I remember the number because I wrote it in glitter pen on a sticky note and kept it inside my diary. It felt sacred. Secure. Proof that someone in this world had seen me. And for the next 7 years, I watched that account like a hawk. Every holiday card from Grandma had her shaky handwriting. Proud of you, Em. I hope you're still reading, still saving, still dreaming. I was. I worked through high school. I didn't party. I didn't date. I studied and tutored and stacked shelves at Rite Aid to prove I deserved it. My parents told everyone, from Aunt Lisa to our nosy neighbor, Marcy, that Emma's college is taken care of thanks to Mom's mom. It became my identity. The smart one. The responsible one. The one who was set. But what they never said out loud was this. I was only set because I didn't ask for anything. My sister Carly, though, she asked for everything. And got it. Carly was younger by 2 years, but somehow always older in everyone's eyes. She was louder, prettier, the kind of girl who got what she wanted and then cried when it wasn't enough. They said she had big emotions. I had too much pride. When Carly wanted to quit community college after a year because she was tired of waking up early, they let her. When she dated Kyle, a man 10 years older who sold Herbalife and wore sunglasses indoors, they didn't blink. And when she got pregnant 6 months later, they said it was God's plan. I was 20 at the time. 2 years into a psychology degree, working part-time at a bookstore, taking classes at the state university. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't make waves. And yet, I came home one weekend to find the blue mailbox gone. The house was buzzing when I pulled into the driveway. Carly's baby shower, a month early, pink balloons, cheap wine in plastic cups, a giant banner that said, "Welcome, baby Neve." Carly was on the porch in a white maternity dress, cooing over baby socks with her new husband Kyle, now jobless, now fully living at our parents' house. I hadn't been invited. "I thought you were too busy with school," Mom said, her tone casual, like she'd forgotten to send me a wedding invite and thought I'd be fine with that too. I stood awkwardly in the hallway until Carly waddled over and hugged me, dramatic as ever. "Emma, I need you to be her godmother. You're so responsible. Like, perfect anti-material." Her perfume was overwhelming, sweet and sour, like melted candy and something spoiled underneath. Then she added, "Oh, and I wanted to ask, maybe, once the baby's born, you could, babysit? For free, obviously. You don't mind, right? You're just doing school stuff." I blinked. For a second, I laughed, because surely this was a joke. Then Dad appeared beside us with a red Solo cup and dropped the real bomb. "Actually, speaking of school, can we talk about your college fund?" My stomach flipped. We sat in the kitchen. Me, Dad, and Mom. Carly stayed outside, opening onesies and Snapchatting the gender reveal balloon that had already popped. Dad cleared his throat. So, we had to make a decision. Mom looked at me with that fake sad face she used when canceling things she'd never intended to follow through on. There was this opportunity, a foreclosure on a house just 10 minutes from here, perfect for Carly, Kyle, and the baby. And we thought, since it's family, it made sense to use that money. What money? I said slowly, though I already knew. Your fund, Dad answered. You've got scholarships now anyway. You can take out a loan for the rest. Most kids do. The air left my lungs. My mouth was dry. That money was from Grandma. Yes, Mom said. But technically, it was part of her estate, and since we're your guardians, my chair scraped hard against the floor. I'm not asking for a trip to Europe, I said. I'm not asking for a car. I've been saving. I've done everything right. Dad sighed like I was being unreasonable. You're acting like we stole from you. We used it for your sister, your niece. She's not even born yet. And already more loved than this conversation? Mom snapped. I didn't cry. Not then. I drove back to my off-campus apartment in silence, parked outside, and stared at the steering wheel for an hour. When I finally unlocked my phone, there was a new text from Carly. You're gonna love the nursery. I designed it all, by myself. Can't wait to show you once you're our full-time babysitter. I didn't respond, but in my chest, something cracked. Not like a snap, like a slow-growing fracture, the kind that deepens over time. That night, I opened my laptop and created a spreadsheet titled Rebuild. And remember, the first thing I did was stop calling. No more weekly check-ins. No more updates on classes or my practicum, or whether I got the RA job I applied for. I had given them everything they ever asked for: obedience, silence, achievement. And they handed it off like a charity donation to the loudest mouth in the room. So now, I gave them nothing, and they barely noticed. My roommate Nina noticed, though. She was sipping coffee in her flannel pajamas, scrolling through TikTok, when I told her what happened. Wait, she said, putting her cup down. They stole your college fund? They called it reallocating. Emma, that's insane. That's not reallocating. That's straight up theft. I shrugged. They said it was for family, for the baby. Nina narrowed her eyes. Did they even ask you? I laughed, bitter. They asked if I could babysit, for free. She stared at me for a long time, then said something I hadn't let myself think yet. You know this is only going to get worse, right? It did get worse. Carly and Kyle's house, the one paid with my future, became the new family HQ. They hosted Sunday dinners and holiday breakfasts, and impromptu Tuesday brunches like some bootleg suburban monarchy. I didn't go. Instead, I picked up 2 tutoring clients, landed the RA job, and scheduled back-to-back classes so I could qualify for early graduation. I worked, I saved, I planned. I watched every dollar like it was oxygen, because no one was going to save me now. Then came the Instagram post. It was a Thursday night. I'd just finished a paper on cognitive development in early childhood. Ironic, given the actual children running my family. And I made the mistake of opening the app. There they were. Carly, standing in front of a pastel pink wall, holding a welcome home baby Neve balloon bouquet. Kyle beside her, holding a house key. Caption: Our first home. Couldn't have done it without Mom and Dad's love and support. And Grandma's legacy. Grandma's legacy. I sat with that phrase like a shard of glass in my throat. She never even met Carly's boyfriend, let alone endorsed his shady pyramid scheme and vaping habit. The comments rolled in. So cute. You guys are goals. Family first. Where's Emma? That last one was from my cousin Ava, and it was the only one I liked. A week later, Mom texted, Can you come by and help Carly with the baby's sleep schedule? She says you're so good at routines. No apology, no acknowledgement, just a request, like I was the unpaid family consultant on demand. I replied, sorry, working. You could try the pediatrician. She left me on red. 3 hours later, Carly posted a story of her crying with mascara-streaked cheeks, captioned, "Some people only help when there's a paycheck. But family should be different." Kyle commented, "Your sis a cold one for." That night I called the bank. I asked about the account that was once in my name, the one Grandma started, the one I watched for 7 years. The woman on the phone hesitated. "I see it was closed last June," she said, "transferred out in full." "To where?" "I'm afraid I can't disclose that without account permissions. It was linked to your parents' joint estate account." So that was it. Legally clean, morally filthy. I hung up and sat in the dark. The next morning, I visited my campus financial aid office. "Are you sure you want to accelerate graduation?" the advisor asked. "That's a lot of pressure." "I'm used to pressure," I said. "And I don't have a choice. I'm paying for this myself now." She nodded, typing. "Well, you've got the credits. It's tight, but you can finish a semester early if you overload winter and summer." Perfect. I'd already found a sublet for spring, and a friend in Colorado offering a place to crash while I applied for post-grad internships. Every dollar would go to my future, and not 1 cent toward Carly's diaper fund. Then, out of nowhere, in mid-January, Dad called. He never called. "Emma," he said, voice stiff. "We need a favor." Big shock. "Carly has to go in for a procedure. Nothing serious, just outpatient. But she needs someone to watch Neve for the weekend. She has a husband. Kyle's not available." That probably meant he flaked again or was too busy grinding on his pyramid scheme live streams. "And you have no one else?" I said. "Your mother and I have church events. You know how the community relies on us." I smiled. Cold and sharp. "Well, I'm part of a community now too," I said, "and they rely on me to show up for my own life." He was silent. So I ended the call with one sentence. "You spent my college fund. You don't get to spend my time too." But the message didn't land. Not really. Because 2 days later, Carly showed up, uninvited, holding her baby in one arm and a diaper bag in the other, outside my dorm. I didn't open the door right away. I just stood there, watching her through the peephole, Carly, shifting from foot to foot, one hip cocked with that baby balanced like a trophy on her arm. She knocked again, 3 sharp raps, then louder. "Emma," she sing-songed. "I know you're in there. Your little hallway smells like coffee and instant noodles." I cracked the door 2 inches. "Why are you here?" She rolled her eyes. "Hi to you too. Look, I just need a couple of hours. Just 2. Kyle's car broke down and Mom has a church fundraiser. I figured it's easier than begging you by text." I said no. She blinked. "You didn't even hear the request?" "I don't need to." Her face shifted, the way it always did when she realized she wasn't in control. A pout-turned sneer. "Wow," she said. "So now you don't even pretend to care about family?" I didn't answer. Instead, I looked at Neve. Sleeping, cheeks soft and pink, like a rose petal folded in on itself. She had Grandma's chin, and somehow, that made it worse. "You're going to regret this one day," Carly hissed. "When you're alone." I smiled. I already am alone, thanks to all of you. And I shut the door. Inside, my hands were shaking, not from fear, but from pressure, the kind that builds after years of biting your tongue until it bleeds. I slid to the floor, back pressed against the cool wood, and sat in silence. This wasn't just about college money anymore. This was about how disposable they thought I was. How easily they thought I'd fold under guilt and show up smiling with burp cloths and breast milk schedules. But I wasn't that girl anymore. A week passed. Then 2. No calls, no texts. Just silence. The kind you learn to enjoy once you realize it's freedom, not rejection. I threw myself into coursework. Final semester, double credit load, a campus job and weekend tutoring gigs. My calendar looked like a war zone. I wanted it that way. I was building something, quietly, brick by brick. And while Carly posted baby reels and sobbed on stories about emotional vampires, I was crafting my resume. By late March, I had 2 internship offers, one in Seattle, one in Boulder. Both paid, both full-time, both 1,000 miles from the pink nursery that stole my nameplate. I picked Boulder. Nina and I made a cake the night I accepted. Chocolate and cinnamon. We toasted with cheap Prosecco and I let myself dream again. That weekend, I went back home. Not for Carly. Not for them. I went for one box, Grandma's journals. She'd left them to me, physical ones, wrapped in a crocheted shawl and hidden in a cedar chest in the attic. Mom always said they smelled like sadness and kept them tucked away like a dirty secret. I needed them now. Not for nostalgia, for clarity. The house was quiet when I arrived. Dad was in the garage, muttering to himself over a broken weed trimmer. Mom was at Bible study. Carly was God knows where. I walked right in, still had my key, though I half expected it to be changed. The attic was musty, just as I remembered. Dust hung in the air like pollen. The chest sat beneath the small round window. I lifted the lid, and there they were. A stack of notebooks. Yellowed, dog-eared, heavy with ink. One had a sticky note. To Emma. You are not like the rest. Don't let them convince you you are. My chest tightened. I took the box and left. No goodbyes. No explanations. I drove back to campus with the windows down, letting the wind carry something off of me. Something invisible, something inherited. That night, I opened the first journal. It began in 1967. My grandma, barely 20, writing about being ignored, dismissed, overlooked. About giving up a teaching job to raise 3 children who never thanked her. By 1979, her words hardened. One line stuck with me. They only remember the daughter who asks, not the one who doesn't. I read until 3 a.m. She knew. Even then, she knew how families choose their favorites, and how those favorites expect the rest to carry the cost. But here's what Grandma didn't do. She didn't fight back. She wrote. She waited. She hoped I wasn't going to do that. The final straw came in April. I got a call from Mom, the kind that starts with, "We don't usually ask," and ends with, "It's just this once." Carly and Kyle were behind on mortgage. Payments. Yes, the house bought with my fund, the one they bragged about on social media, the one that made them local celebrities in their sad little suburb. Apparently, Kyle was out of work, again. And Carly couldn't mentally handle daycare, so she stayed home. "Can you help out, Emma?" Mom asked. "Just a little? Maybe a temporary transfer?" I almost laughed. "Temporary? Well, it was yours originally. Grandma would want you to—" "Don't," I snapped. "Don't you dare use her name." Silence. Then Mom tried. Again. Softer. "Don't punish the baby for their mistakes." I exhaled, calm now. Cold. "I'm not punishing anyone," I said. "But if Carly loses the house, maybe she'll finally understand what it's like to have something ripped out from under you." Click. That night, I sent a message. To a lawyer. To a name I'd found written in the back of Grandma's last journal. A woman who once helped her settle estate paperwork, and who might know whether my name was ever officially attached to that fund. Because if there's even a thread, a single shred of ownership left, I'm pulling it all the way out. Rita's office was tucked inside a crumbling two-story near downtown. Ivy strangled the windows. The bell above the door jangled like something out of a noir film. Inside smelled like old paper and peppermints. She didn't offer a handshake, just waved me in and motioned to a cracked leather chair. "You look like her," she said. "But I suspect you're louder." "Only recently," I muttered. Rita slid a dusty file across her desk. "This is what I kept. Most people toss it once the estate closes. But your grandma made me promise. Keep one copy. One day Emma might need it." My hands trembled as I opened the folder. Inside, a notarized letter signed by Grandma declaring $62,000 to be transferred to a trust for Emma Louise Carter. A separate document instructing that the account was not to be accessed without the named beneficiary's written consent. Until she reached the age of 21, bank documents, a trust establishment form, with my name printed clearly. And a loan. I thought they said it was part of their estate, I whispered. Rita snorted. Of course they did. People twist anything when there's no one left to argue. She slid over another form. A bank transaction from 3 years ago. A closed trust. Liquidated early. Signed off by both of my parents. No signature line for me. I felt something in my chest go hot. Then cold. They told the bank I approved this? Looks like it. They probably said you were unavailable, and rushed it through under joint parental authority. Happens all the time when the beneficiary's underage. But I wasn't. I was 20. Rita leaned forward. Which means they had no legal right. I left with copies of everything, and a name for a lawyer who specialized in estate fraud. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't even scream. I printed out those documents. I slid them into a sleek black binder, and I labeled the front in big, clear letters. Emma L. Carter, V's Carter family. It wasn't about revenge. Not exactly. It was about the truth. And a correction, like writing your name in ink over someone else's pencil mark. The first domino fell the next week. I emailed my parents. Subject: Legal notice. Trust fund. Misappropriation body. Please see attached documentation and timeline. A formal letter from my attorney will follow. I am pursuing civil action for the full sum of $62,000 plus damages. This includes the unauthorized early liquidation of a restricted fund. Emma, no fluff. No emotion, just fact. The reaction was nuclear. Mom called first. Emma, what is this? Her voice was brittle with panic. A lawsuit? Against your own family? Yes, I said. and against anyone else who accessed that money without consent. Silence. Then, "You don't understand what you're doing." "I do. I understand exactly." She launched into excuses. That they needed a home for the baby. That Grandma would have wanted the money to help the family. That college debt builds character. I listened. Not because I cared, but because I wanted every lie on record. Then I said, "You taught me to be quiet, to never ask for anything. You liked me better when I was useful but invisible. But now I'm visible, and I want everything you owe me." I hung up. Next came, "Carly." Of course she texted, with a screenshot of the lawsuit attachment and a vomit emoji. "Carly. Wow, really? You'd bankrupt your own niece? You are sick." Me. "She's not the one on the mortgage." Carly. "You're a cold, bitter witch. Just admit it. You're jealous." Me. "You can keep the house. I'm just taking the foundation you stole to build it." She didn't respond after that. Meanwhile, I moved to Boulder, started my internship, made new friends, found a cozy studio apartment with sunlit windows and a fig plant I named Justice. I kept the black binder tucked in my bookshelf, like a secret weapon. The case was moving slowly, as legal things do. But Rita was confident. "There's a paper trail," she said on our last call. "And you've got the patience." They underestimated that. Then one day, in late June, I got a message from someone I never expected. Kyle, the man-child, pyramid schemer, Carly's deadbeat husband. Kyle. "Hey, can we talk?" I stared at the screen, confused. Me. "Why?" Kyle. "It's about the house, and something I found. It's about your grandma." I stared at Kyle's message for a full minute before responding. Me. "If this is some guilt trip attempt, I'm not interested." Kyle. "No guilt trip. Just meet me, please. It's about something Carly's been hiding. From everyone." He followed with an address. A coffee shop on the edge of town, 3 p.m. Saturday. I should have ignored it. But curiosity is a powerful thing, especially when it's layered over fury and unfinished business. So I went. The cafe was nearly empty. Just a barista on her phone, and one old man reading a paperback about warships. Kyle sat by the window, fidgeting with his keys and glancing up like someone half expecting a punch. He stood when he saw me. "You came." I didn't say I'd stay. He nodded, gesturing to the chair across from him. "Fair." I didn't sit. "Not yet." "You have 5 minutes," I said. "Start talking." He looked different, skinnier, more tired. The slick bravado he used to wear like cologne was gone. Now he just looked wrecked. "I know you hate me," he began. "Not personally. You're just part of the trash pile I climbed out of." He winced. "Okay. Deserved. Look, I didn't know about the trust fund. Not until recently. I thought your parents helped with a down payment. Carly told me it was gift money from some old bond. Didn't you ask questions?" I was stupid. I believed her. He paused, pulling something from his pocket. A folded envelope, a little yellowed at the edges. She kept this in the back of the kitchen drawer, behind the warranties and expired coupons. I only found it because the drawer jammed and I had to yank it open. He slid it across the table. I read it. "And I think you should too." I sat. My fingers trembled as I opened the flap. Inside was a handwritten letter, not from Grandma. From Carly. Dated 2 weeks before my fund was liquidated. "Dear bank manager, My name is Carly Renee Carter. I'm writing on behalf of my parents, Mark and Ellen Carter, who are currently working to transfer funds from an educational account originally set up under my sister's name. I have attached documentation showing that she consents to this, but she is currently studying abroad and unable to appear in person. We understand this is an unusual request, but time is sensitive due to a home closing. Please process the account. Liquidation at your earliest convenience. I stopped reading. My stomach dropped. Studying abroad? I whispered. I never left the country. Kyle nodded. I know. She forged your name. Twice. He pulled out his phone and opened the photo. Gallery. A picture of the forged consent form. My signature, or a weak attempt at it, sloppily mimicked on a typed release. My dad works in real estate, he said. He took one look at that and said, this would never hold up in court. I started asking questions. Carly flipped, out. And your brilliant conclusion was, what? To text me 2 years later? He looked genuinely ashamed. I didn't know what she'd done until now. But the bank? The fake documents? The fake story? That's felony fraud. I thought, maybe you should have it. I figured it might help your case. He slid a thumb drive across the table. Everything I found, screenshots, copies, even the email Carly sent your mom bragging, M's so dumb she'll never notice. I should have said thank you. Instead, I leaned back and studied him. Why now? He hesitated, then looked me in the eye. Because Carly's talking about filing bankruptcy, and if that happens, they might start clawing back assets. I want off the sinking ship, and frankly, Neve deserves a mother who isn't built on lies. I raised an eyebrow. So this is guilt mixed with self-preservation. He didn't deny it. I don't care what your motive is, I said, but I will use this. He gave a sad, crooked smile. I'm counting on it. That night, I sat on the floor of my studio, surrounded by papers, the forged signature, the bank letter, screenshots of Carly's messages, the thumb drive's contents. I organized them into a new section in the black binder. Section 2, Criminal Liability. It was no longer just civil. This was fraud, forgery, misrepresentation. I emailed my attorney that night with everything attached. Subject, line, new evidence. Escalation recommended. Meanwhile, my family stayed quiet. Mom posted a few vague Bible verses on Facebook about daughters who forget who raised them. Carly uploaded a reel of Neve playing with blocks and a caption that read, "Some people care more about money than blood, but thank God for innocent hearts." And then she went silent too. Maybe she knew it was coming. Maybe Kyle told her, or maybe deep down, she knew this house wasn't built on love. It was built on theft, entitlement, and my name scratched off the foundation like a mistake. A week later, I got a letter. Official. Sealed. Legal stationery. A subpoena. The bank would be testifying, and so would Carly. Court wasn't like in the movies. There were no gasps, no dramatic gavel slams, no sudden confessions. There were binders, cold air vents, cheap coffee, and a long glass table where people pretended not to lie. The deposition took place in a midtown office, neutral ground. My attorney, Mrs. Patel, sat to my right, calm and razor-sharp in her gray suit. Across from us sat a second lawyer, one of those overly cheerful types with a pen that clicked too often. Beside him sat Carly, hair tied up in a high bun, light pink blouse, holding a water bottle she kept sipping even though it was full. She looked smaller than I remembered. Less filtered. More breakable. "Do you understand you are under oath, Miss Carter?" the clerk asked. She nodded. "Yes." I didn't speak. I didn't even look at her directly. But when they asked her to confirm her own writing, the forged consent form, she hesitated. "It looks like my handwriting," she said. "But I don't remember writing it." Mrs. Patel leaned forward. "So it could be yours?" Carly squirmed. "I don't know. I was going through a lot. Pregnancy brain is real." Click. Click. The other lawyer stopped tapping his pen. "And the letter to the bank?" I was just helping my parents." "So you didn't know it was illegal?" I thought it was still our money. That was the moment I looked up. Straight at her. Her face twisted, a flicker of recognition. Guilt or shame or rage. Hard to tell with Carly. It moved so fast. "I didn't steal it," she said, a little louder now. "We're family. Families share." She was always just the good one, the smart one, the one who made us feel like crap without even trying. The room tensed. Carly kept going, something boiling over. She got Grandma's love, her money, her praise, and we got the scraps. I was sick of it. I wanted something just once to be mine. Mrs. Patel held up the letter again. "You mean the house?" Carly nodded. I needed a win. The words hung there like smoke. I didn't speak. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to, because she admitted it, on record. Not just the forgery, but the motive. And the fact that I had never been the selfish one. I had just been the easy one to steal from. After the deposition, I stepped outside into the spring sun. My hands were numb, not from cold, from release. From years of pressure finally peeling off my skin, Mrs. Patel joined me. "You did well," she said, "and that went better than expected. What happens next? She'll likely try to settle. That confession puts her in a tight corner. And if she doesn't, we take it to court. Full hearing, fraud, restitution, possibly jail time." I stared out at the skyline. I wasn't angry anymore. I was focused, and underneath it all, a new word started to form in my chest. Free. Back home that evening, I found an envelope taped to my door. No name. Inside, a folded letter and a house key. "Emma, I don't know if this makes things better or worse. Probably neither. But I thought maybe it was time to give back what never should have been mine. We moved out, me and Neva. Kyle's staying with his dad. The house is yours again, legally or not. We never made it a home anyway. Do whatever you want with it. I know it won't fix anything, but I figured you deserved to decide how the story ends. Or maybe how it restarts." C.I. sat on the floor for a long time, just holding the key. Not because I needed the house, but because this time I got to choose. The house looked smaller in real life. The photos Carly used to post made it seem like a Pinterest fairy tale. Open concept, sun-drenched, draped in pastel baby bliss. But standing in front of it now, key in hand, it just looked tired. Sagging gutters. A dying wreath still clinging to the front door. Grass too long. Mailbox askew. My mailbox. Because technically, now that Carly had returned it, The house belonged to me again. I didn't rush in. I stood there for a full minute before stepping over the threshold. The silence hit me first. No baby cries, no music, no laughter. Just the soft hum of a refrigerator and the creak of the floor under my sneakers. The nursery was to the left. I didn't go there. Instead, I walked the perimeter, like reclaiming a battlefield. The living room still had toys in a bin marked Nevy's Corner, with stickers peeling off the side. The kitchen was half-packed. A chipped mug in the sink, a sticky note on the fridge that read, "Buy milk" in Carly's curling cursive. The dining table still had 4 chairs, though one had a broken leg held together by duct tape. It felt like a life paused mid-sentence, like a family that packed in a hurry or couldn't bear to finish. I opened the hall closet, shoes, boxes, and a small lockbox shoved behind a stack of diapers. The key from my old childhood jewelry box still worked. Inside, Grandma's rosary, a bundle of my old report cards, and a letter in my name, written in Grandma's hand. My dearest Emma, if you're reading this, I suspect something has gone wrong, or perhaps right. I wasn't sure whether to leave this in your college binder or hide it where only you'd think to look. I know this family. I raised this family. I know what silence costs, and what happens when you play the good girl too long. You were never meant to be anyone's stepping stone, sweetheart. I gave you that money because I saw your hunger, your kindness, your fire, not so you'd carry them, but so you'd outgrow them. If they've taken from you, remember, they can never keep what was never truly theirs. With love that never owed an apology, Grandma May. I read it twice, then again. The letter didn't break me. It built me. I walked through the house one more time, room by room, memory by memory, even if they weren't mine. And when I reached the nursery, I stood at the doorway. I didn't step in, just looked. Rocking chair. Pink wallpaper peeling at the corner. A wall decal that said, "You are so loved." I whispered, "You will be, Nevi, but not by stealing love from someone else." Then I turned and left. That night, I met with my lawyer again. "I want to settle," I told her. "But on my terms." She raised an eyebrow. "You sure? We've got enough to win this outright." I don't need the court's stamp to know I was right. I slid the house key across the table. Have the house deed transferred to a local housing nonprofit. Let them use it for mothers in crisis, shelter, support, something earned. You don't want it? No, I said. I want what it cost me. Which is? Control. A month later, the final documents were signed. Carly surrendered all claims to the trust. She issued a written apology, not public, but legal. The house officially changed hands. The court dropped potential criminal charges in exchange for restitution and permanent severance from any financial access to me. I was free, legally, emotionally, generationally. And just before summer turned to fall, I framed the letter from Grandma and hung it above my desk, right next to my degree, the one I paid for, the one they said I'd have to borrow for. The one that opened doors I now chose to walk through, or close, if I damn well pleased. It was a cool October morning when I returned to the neighborhood. The leaves were turning. Maple reds, burnt golds, the kind Grandma used to press between wax paper and call Autumn's Apology. I parked a few streets away from the old house. Not out of fear, just clarity. Because this wasn't my home anymore. It never had been. The property had already been turned over to the nonprofit, a group that helped single mothers restart. That week, they were renovating the inside. New paint, new windows, new hope. There was a young woman on the porch when I arrived, early 20s, holding a clipboard in one hand and a baby monitor in the other. Her eyes were tired but kind. "You be?" "Emma?" she asked. "I am." "You left a note with the donation form. Said you wanted to meet the new occupant." She smiled, then opened the door and waved me in. Her name was Jaslyn, 23. Escaped an abusive fiancé with her 2-year-old and hadn't looked back. The nonprofit placed her here after a 6-month shelter stay. "The day they gave me the key," she said, "I cried for hours. I didn't even know who to thank." "You just did," I said quietly. She looked confused. I didn't explain. Instead, I walked the halls again, now freshly painted, smells of lemon and plaster in the air. The nursery had been changed into a study room, bookshelves, a desk, a tiny plastic chair. "It's perfect," she said, holding her son. "Like someone meant this house for something better." I nodded. "I think that's exactly what it's for." Later that day, I stopped, by the cemetery. Grandma May's stone was small, simple, no grand monument, just the way she wanted. I sat beside it, cross-legged, and unfolded the last letter I'd written. Not to the bank, not to my family, to her. "Dear Grandma, I did everything right, and they still took what you left for me. But I want you to know they didn't keep it. They didn't win. I used your gift. Not just the money, but the lesson. That quiet girls don't have to stay quiet. That legacy isn't what you leave in accounts. It's what you plant in people. There's a mother living in that house now. A real one. Someone who fought to be free. She's going to raise her child with strength, not shame. And I'm okay now. I'm finally, deeply okay. Love you forever. Emma." I stayed until the sun dipped low, painting the sky in the colors Grandma loved best. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel broken. I felt rebuilt. Not in their image, in mine.